Am I the asshole for singling out my boyfriend who never tips the server at a restaurant? My boyfriend, myself, and 3 other friends went out for dinner a few days ago for some burgers and alcohol. We had a great time, service was great, and the experience was very enjoyable. It was time for us to pay our bills. All of us paid separate checks. When we were all getting our credit cards out to pay, I said out loud to everybody, just simply as a conversation, make sure to tip our waitress, she was amazing, don't be that type of person who doesn't tip. Come on, guys, not going to lie, I gave my boyfriend a blank stare when I said that. My boyfriend never tips. He is one of those people where he only wants to pay what is on the bill. No more. No less. I have had conversations in the past with him explaining to him on the etiquette of tipping your waitress, since they only make $1.37 an hour where we live and they literally rely on tips, but he does not care. Anyways, back to the restaurant. None of our friends caught I was looking at my boyfriend because they were all focused on grabbing their credit cards and they simply did not know that he is not a tipper. As usual, my boyfriend did not tip the waitress, but myself and everybody else did. We said goodbye to our friends and went home. My boyfriend and I took the same car home. He brought up the situation to me in the car. He said, I knew you were singling me out at the restaurant when you brought up the tipping topic. I saw that look you gave me. I apologized immediately since he did not sound very thrilled based off the tone of his voice. I expressed my concern, once again, on how I felt about him never tipping. As usual, he tells me how he literally does not care about tipping and never will anytime soon. The topic changed from there. I've been thinking about this situation all week. Am I the asshole for this, or do you think ESH? The US is fucking insane. Hey. You. I don't like your boyfriend. Hey. You. I think you need a new one. Not the asshole. IDK, but as a British person, it's always interesting to go through posts like this and read the comments, smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. Just here for the comments. I would seriously break up with someone who doesn't tip at restaurants. It's such a major character flaw. The asshole here is the restaurant for paying their staff just over $1 an hour. Instead of companies paying a fair wage, they've successfully turned you against your boyfriend by making you think he's the one responsible for paying the staff wages. I hate this toxic tipping culture. LOL. American tipping culture is unbelievable. You want to call out your boyfriend? Why not call out the system that allows restaurant owners to not pay their employees a fair wage and relies on customers paying it for them? Seems like that's the problem. I have had conversations in the past with him explaining to him on the etiquette of tipping your waitress, since they only make $1.37 an hour where we live. Do you not live in the US? The federal tipped minimum wage is $2.13 an hour. What other country has such crazy tipped wage laws? You're the asshole is etiquette. You for world country USA is insane. Tip is only a reward for good service, nothing more. If I want tip I do, and not like blackmailing into it. You're the asshole for how you went about it. Have an adult conversation in private instead of trying to embarrass him around friends. If he won't change his position, then either break up if it's important to you, or leave it alone. Info. Why do you still go out to restaurants with him? You know he refuses to tip and it quite clearly irritates you. If it was me, I'd just not go to restaurants with him anymore. Tipping is the AH. A country that doesn't pay people a living wage is the AH. You're the asshole. Tipping is dumb and they make minimum wage if tips aren't met. Get rid of the tipping culture, pay people a living wage. We don't give tips here in Australia because everybody gets paid for the work that they do by their employer, shouldn't have to rely on tips to live a decent, respectable life despite working hard. The system sucks here SSH, get rid of the system. You're the asshole. The West and its tipping culture is really weird. Do you tip the person that packs your groceries, cuts your hair, does your electrics or plumbing? Tipping culture is a joke unless the server has actually gone above and beyond. You go to a restaurant and you should expect the bare minimum in terms of taking your order and serving you your food. Pay your staff proper wages and they wouldn't have to rely heavily on tips. You're the asshole. Tipping isn't mandatory in the US. You also made a huge deal about tipping the waitress when it was completely unnecessary. You're the asshole. Stop trying to change someone who's been like this from the start. And you tried to manipulate him into paying a tip here. I will never understand tipping in America. I'm not paying your wages. You're the asshole if some people don't want to tip, it's their business. You have no right to tell others to tip. Leave your own tip and mind your business about what everyone else does. You're the asshole, because it seemed a passive-aggressive way to call him out. Since you've talked to him about it before and he didn't change his behavior, I'm not sure what you hoped to accomplish. Sounds like you were deliberately trying to embarrass him. I guess you have to decide, is this going to be a deal breaker for you? He's obviously not going to change his behavior. Do you want to be with someone like that, maybe feeling you should leave a larger tip or cash if you dine out with him and he doesn't tip? I'm from the UK and would say you're the asshole because tipping isn't a massive thing here. I worked many years in catering and was fine with it. If someone doesn't want to tip, that's fine and shouldn't be shamed. But I know you Yanks are obsessive over tipping, so I imagine my viewpoint is void. So I see many people here agree that the servers relying on tips to live is wrong and they should be paid fair wages by the owners, but then talk about tipping as a short term. Are you guys working on the long-term solution? If not, you know you're all long-term assholes, because this has been going on for years. Now perhaps you need to look up what short-term means. Not the asshole. I'd give serious pause about dating a grown-ass man who is so disrespectful and stingy. Red flag. Yuck. You're the asshole. The US tipping culture is insane and enabling it through peer pressure is just an ick. The way you did it was especially embarrassing to your partner. If I was him and my partner did something like that, well, I'd seriously be considering what I had going on. AITA for trying to change him repeatedly when he doesn't want to change. Stop trying to change him. If he wants to be this way, he's allowed. If you don't want to date someone who is this way, don't date him. Either break up with him or wait till he breaks up with you for pulling this attempt to publicly shame him. You're the asshole. Tipping is businesses passing the buck to the consumer and then creating this whole social etiquette around it to mask the reality. Have you never been to Japan? I hate tipping. I hate the tipping culture. I hate people gaslighting others for not tipping with statements like, if you can't afford to tip, you shouldn't eat out. How about the inverse? If you can't afford to pay your staff a livable wage or to not have them depend on charity, then you shouldn't be a business. Think you should just shut the fuck up and mind your own check. If you'll all pay separate, then he can choose what to do. He doesn't have to tip. It's a choice, not a requirement. You're the asshole. Tipping culture has literally gone insane, but besides the point, your attempt to shame him in front of your friends was just rude. Federal law prevents any waiter or waitress from receiving less than minimum wage if their tips don't add up to an average of $7.25 an hour. Anyone saying otherwise is uninformed and wrong, pushing a shitty, outdated narrative that isn't true and can't take 5 seconds to type it into Google and find out their long-held belief is actually false. You're the asshole for attempting to humiliate him in public and for continuously forcing him to tip. If you don't want someone who doesn't tip, then just stop wasting your and his time and just